Hello, everybody out there, and welcome back here with the future once again. And this time, it's been a while, but I have a VHS collection update for everybody. If you did not check out my last thrift shop and flea market finds video, I'm going to put the link to the playlist for my thrift shop and flea market finds series, and go back and check out my last one. I picked up a bunch of VHS that I'm not even going to do updates on or anything because they were just a ton of random VHS that I picked up for $15 along with a bunch of other stuff, and it's a pretty cool video, so you should go back and check it out. My whole trunk was full of VHS at the time. But I went back to that same flea market before that. Actually, I was at that flea market, so I went back to get that other deal. But before I was there, I picked up a bunch that I actually wanted, and picked out a bunch that I went through the entire flea market, not just that guy's booth that I bought those off of. And I picked up some very cool VHS to add to the collection. And then there was another spot that I went to, a little collectible store in a town not far from me, that I picked up this gem from, and it's none other than the 1992 Fox, yes, it was when it was Fox Video, Star Wars Trilogy box set. And what is cool about these are pretty sought after, and I'm so glad that I actually have these. These are sought after just because, for the fact that they are the original cut theatrical releases before George Lucas went in and did the special edition versions and made a bunch of changes and added a bunch of CGI and everything to the original versions. So these are what you're watching, when you watched them in the theater back in '77. These are the actual theatrical releases that were, unchanged. Before they went ahead and changed it over. And look at the box art on these. I have not even looked them up price-wise, but I know they're pretty sought after. These are actually not sealed, but the plastic are still on them. And look at this, from '92. The box art on them has the original Star Wars logo before they switched over to the logo that you see everywhere now, which is on the other set that I'll show here in a second. But I love this. It has the original logo on the front. The write-ups on the back. You have Star Wars. Here's Empire Strikes Back. Actually, is already open, but very cool box art there. And there's the more traditional Star Wars logo that's going around the top there. But it's cool for the first one that they used the original Star Wars logo from the movie and put the original cover art on all these. I'm thinking these are all the original cover arts. And then you have, of course, the third, Return of the Jedi. And look at that. Yeah, that's the original Star Wars Return of the... And there's the logo that's used now more often than the one that's on A New Hope there. But that was before it was labeled A New Hope. That was just Star Wars. And these are, so close to my heart from my childhood. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and to finally get these, and I got this for $1. I got this set for $1. And look at this set on the inside. You have, here's the trilogy that set new standards in filmmaking, special effects, and rousing science fiction, action, adventure storytelling. And you have some write-ups down here, written and directed by George Lucas, theatrical release date. They have write-ups on each of the movies that come off of this, and it's like a little display thing that you could actually display here with these open. They don't open very much, but it's pretty damn cool. And on the front you have, all these pictures. You have their Star Wars trilogy. You have Chewie, Jabba, and actually got this little crease here, so that kind of devalues it a little bit. But I'm not worried about the value. I don't plan on ever selling this. I'm just glad I have it. Gamorrean Guard, the Rancor Monster, another pic of Darth, and then Luke and Leia. Look at that Yoda picture down there. This is just awesome, though. When I found this, for $1, the guy told me, I'm like, that was a no-brainer. So, very, very happy to add this to the collection. And yeah, here's some of the box art too, and it actually has a write-up on the back there that I will not read, but you can pause it and read it there, because I'm definitely going to mess that one up if I try it. But a little saying by George Lucas. And there you have all the cool ass art on this box is just so sweet. You have the original Star Wars logo too that they use on the box itself. And I'm not sure how common these are. And maybe I'm wrong that they aren't worth that much, but I'm pretty damn sure that they're pretty sought after. And I'm very happy to have them. The original Fox video before, you know, they went on and did the special editions. And I heard that Fox still has the rights to these original releases too, and they may do a release of the original cuts of the film that were, you know, seen in these original VHS. So that'd be very sweet. I'm going to put this to the side here. And here's my, you know, I did already have the Star Wars Trilogy Special Edition. And I've never really showed this off, I don't think, too much. But, you know, you have all 3 films. But these, of course, were when he went back in and did some editing, you know, after the release of... well, I think he did this before the release of Phantom Menace. But it was when he was thinking about doing the prequels that he went back in and made special edition versions that were released. I think they were released in theaters. I may be wrong. I've been known to be wrong. But I like how it's in this gold box. And on the back you have this cool Star Wars Trilogy logo. Very sweet. Special edition. So these are the only ones that I had for a long time. But as you can see, the quality of the Fox set, I think, is 10 times better and 10 times cooler because they're the original cuts, you know, of my favorite film of all time. So, very cool. And I'm going to have to mess with those in a little bit when I have 2 hands. Here's some more pickups that I made. These are actually, we're going on to the flea market. The rest of these I picked up at the flea market itself. So, there is one other video that I'm going to show off here in a second that I did pick up at this place, but I'll save it here at the end when I get up and walk around for a second for a few things. Here is the second volume. Most people don't know that they actually made a Batman and Robin serial before the, you know, Adam West and Burt Ward 66 series. And this is the last 8 of 15 chapters. And I had this since I was a kid. It was released in 1989, around the time of the Tim Burton Batman launch. And, yeah, I was born in 1982, so 7 years old when this came out. I remember getting it for Christmas. And for the longest time, I wanted the first volume. Well, when I went to that flea market, what else do you know? They had the first volume. I was like, God damn, they got it. The first 7 of 15 chapters of one of the original Batman and Robin serials. And these are just so nostalgically cool, man. They're not as good as the 66 Batman series, but they're so cool to watch. And you see it has all the chapters on there. Batman Takes Over, Tunnel of Terror, Robin's Wild Ride, Batman Trapped, Robin Rescues Batman, Target Robin, The Fatal Blast. And it says complete your collection and also get Volume 2. Well, I had Volume 2 when I was a kid, but never had Volume 1. And I actually like the cover art of Volume 1 because it shows Robin as well as Batman. So never having this as a kid and then all these years later completing the set is just so damn cool. And yes, you can see it was released by good old Good Times down there. But to any Batman fan that didn't know about this, or that does now know about this, I know they would love to probably have these VHS in their collection. And I've done some Batman collection videos of all my Batman movies that I have in my collection. I'll put that up here to the right too, and you can go back and check that out. But I thought these are very sweet. And let me see for a second. Robert Lowry, John Duncan, Jane Addams, Lyle Talbot. I think that is who appeared as Batman was Robert Lowry. I may be wrong, but it says 1949 too is when this serial was released. So very cool. Now getting on to some more comic book related videos that I found. VHS. I got this X-Men Legend of the Wolverine. I've yet to check it out, but any X-Men or cartoon related, animated related, I should say, Marvel videos I usually will definitely get. And I've gotten already, I got the X-Men The Core video that I showed in one of my last VHS collection videos, and I'm going to put my DVD and VHS collection zone, well, Blu-ray DVD and VHS collection zone up to the right. and you can go back and check them all out. But here is X-Men: The Legend of the Wolverine, and I'm a huge Wolverine fan and got a lot of Wolverine figures and stuff like that. I love the cover art in the back. That's very cool to have. This is from 19... let me see here. No, wait a minute. 2003 is when they released this. Here is X-Men: Night of the Sentinels, and I'm pretty sure they have a movie in the works for the Sentinels. So this is pretty cool to have. It's Creator's Choice 1. And on the back you have a quote by Stan Lee, the X-Men creator. And this one was launched in 1993. So you have, that's why I thought this one was a earlier release, but this one's 2003. And it runs 79 minutes. And then you have, Creator's Choice, and it has one on here, so it comes from a collection or something. But I'm going to have to check these out. These animated X-Men cartoons are just so badass. And I still like watching animated Marvel stuff. But yeah, from 93, this one. So, very cool. I'd have been 11 years old when that came out. This is Dolph Lundgren, Louis Gossett Jr., the Punisher, the original one that they did. And he didn't have the skull on his chest or anything, and it was not the best movie. But I had the Thomas Jade version on DVD, and I do collect all those comic book movies and everything. And I will put the link up to the right, and you can go back and check my complete... I did a update where I showed off, pretty much all of my comic book collection, so I'll put that up in the right, DVD and VHS-wise. But here's the Punisher, Judge, Jury, Executioner, all in a day's work. The back, very cool. And I just like having this because, I do like Dolph Lundgren's work. This is 1994 too, and I didn't think, I watched it, and I didn't think it was completely terrible. Not a great film by far, but a little better than I thought it would even be. But I do remember watching that as a kid all the time too, and I kind of had a little place in my heart, I gotta say. One of those, guilty pleasures. Here's the Phantom, which is also a guilty pleasure of mine. And you see this Slam Evil. It's this badass motion. It's almost like the old flick cards, the baseball cards, sport flicks they were called. It's exactly like that anyway, where they had a motion to them when you moved them. And when this movie was released in, let me see here, 1996, I think that those cards were kind of around still, and this was still, a cool thing to do. It'd be still a cool thing to do for this day, but I love it how he's throwing that punch, and he's got the Phantom ring there. But Slam Evil, it says, and this is the big clamshell version. I'm sure they didn't all come in clamshell versions like this, and it's really good shape as well. But, I thought this movie was really good. A lot of people, shit on it, but I just think that the Phantom's a cool character and that they put it on screen pretty well. And, they had Billy Zane starring as the Phantom, and I think he did a decent job. It could have been better. Let me say that. It could have been better, but the look and overall look of him and everything, I think they, nailed it right on. Phantom, one of my favorite characters, and I never had this movie either, so very cool addition to the collection. Now I'm getting down to another stack here that I picked up from that flea market. I already had this on DVD, but I had to get the VHS when I saw it because I never had it. 1931 classic collection, Universal Monsters, Dracula. I'm going to put this up there next to the Frankenstein stuff and do a little changing, rearranging with these next couple of VHS because I definitely want to display these. Because I always loved these in the video store back in the day when I would come in there and see all these. They'd have several different, movies from the classic horror genre done in this style because they did a classic Universal Monsters collection. So, very sweet to have. Never had this on VHS. I do have a few versions on DVD. And now we have Werewolf of London, which was actually one of the first werewolf films. It predates The Wolfman, starring Lon Chaney Jr. This one was actually made in 1935, and I am pretty sure that it was like 1941 or so when the original Wolfman was made. Maybe wrong there, but I think I nailed it. it was directed by Carl Laemmle, who also directed, Dracula. As you see there, Carl Laemmle Jr. and Todd Browning are produced by Carl Laemmle. Let me see here. Yeah, it was directed by Stuart Walker. Carl Laemmle was the producer. So he did produce this for Universal, but it was made in, London, and it predated The Wolfman, and that's what's pretty cool about it, in my opinion. Yeah, it starred Henry Hull, and it was a more, like, humanistic-looking Wolfman, werewolf. I want to keep saying Wolfman, but he was the werewolf of London. And it's one of my favorite werewolf films, too. I think it's very underrated, and it should be held right up there, and all the rest of the classic Universal Monster collection. Like, I got the DVD set, and it does not have Werewolf of London, and that's one that they need to start adding in there because it's history, guys. I mean, it is the, first attempt at a Wolfman movie from, one of the acclaimed producers from the Universal horror genre, from classic Universal Monsters. So very cool to have both those. They are going on display after this video. And then I have one of the follow-ups to it. It's She-Wolf of London, and this is a Universal Horror Classics version, and it still has the shrink wrap on there. But you see back here, you have the original art for She-Wolf of London for the poster there. And this was made in 1946, so after Wolfman and everything, this was made. And let's see who produced this one. I'm pretty sure it was not Laemmle this time. It was directed by Gene Yarbrough and produced by Ben Piver. So 1946, but it is a Universal Classics movie. So it was kind of like a female version of the movie. I haven't done a lot of research on this, but anything Universal Classic monsters, I definitely have to pick up, or horror classics. And this starred, let me see the lady's name, Dawn Porter, John Lockhart, Sarah Hayden. Yeah, so starred a lot of classic great actors there and actresses. So very cool there. I'm not going to display that one, but it's pretty sweet to have in the collection. And you see there, kind of cool to see Werewolf of London and then She-Wolf of London. Kind of funny. So next in the collection, I actually got this one again, but I already had picked it up before, and it's the original War of the Worlds. The original War of the Worlds, and this was a version that was made in 1991, and War of the Worlds was made in 1952 and renewed in 1980 by Paramount. But this is one of my favorite ever. This is my favorite Martian attack movies or alien attack movies on Earth. It's just a classic movie. I love this film, period, man. I don't have enough good to say about this movie. It's so much better than the Steven Spielberg version, and it is the adaptation of H.G. Wells' chilling novel there on the invasion of Earth by Martians. But man, I mean, just the special effects and everything in this movie were just absolutely groundbreaking, and you just feel so much like it would feel. It just feels so realistic, like you're watching something that really happened when you watch the War of the Worlds. I don't know, it was just so well done. And as everybody probably knows, the War of the Worlds was a radio broadcast that got out of control, and people really thought that aliens were taking the world over. And they depicted it in this film so good. And still to this day, this 1952 classic holds up as the best Martian invasion movie, in my opinion, than any other. And I have a version in there that looks a lot better than this that I'm going to exchange out and probably sell off the other one, because I'm building up quite a few doubles now, and nobody wants a bunch of doubles cluttering up their collection. And that's what's starting to happen to me, so I've got to unload some of this. So anybody who is interested in any of these VHS that I say I have doubles on, I do have a double War of the Worlds. I'd be happy to work something out with you and get a price on it and everything if you message me in my inbox. Here is Legend starring Tom Cruise, a very young Tom Cruise. This was a very early effort by Ridley Scott. The movie was made in 1991. Ridley Scott, had already gained fame for Alien and Alien movies. So, what do you know? He comes back with this epic legend, a world full of magic, wonder, and desire. And what I love about this is that Tim Curry played Satan on this, or they call him the Darkness, but you can see him there kind of. And it was one of the best depictions of Satan or the devil that you could ever see in a movie. And he just steals the show in this movie. I absolutely love this film. They have the unicorn there on the back that is involved in the movie. I don't want to really give too much away. But it is a stunning fantasy adventure, and this is a very underrated gem, in my opinion, a hidden gem. And if you have not seen Legend, I have another movie called Legend in my collection too, but it is a totally different movie. That is about the Cray brothers from London, the mobsters. This is a totally different film, and I had a chance to get the DVD of this, the Pop Art Collection DVD at Walmart, and I passed up thinking that I'd see it again, and no, they took those out, so I still have not got the DVD version of this movie, but I did watch this VHS version, and I absolutely love it. So next here we have Odd Couple 2. I'm a big fan of The Odd Couple, and just to get up here for a second, you can see I have The Odd Couple movie, the first one that they did. I have the first season here, and then the complete collection of the original TV series. But this is the bringing back Felix and Oscar, portrayed by Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, who portrayed them originally in the first movie. They came back and did Odd Couple 2 when they were older, and it's not the greatest movie of all time by far, but just because it is the Odd Couple 2, and I didn't have it in the collection, and it was cheap, I decided just to grab it, because I don't see this very often. And I am a fan of Felix and Oscar, the Odd Couple, if anybody knows me, and a big fan of Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon's work. So the next one is Godzilla 2000. This was actually made in 1999, but they called it Godzilla 2000, and it confused a lot of people. When they put this out, a lot of people thought they were going in to see the 98 Godzilla because it was released right after 98 Godzilla, and then they'd go in there and find out they were watching a Japanese film, so it's kind of funny. But you know what? This kicked Godzilla 98's ass, in my opinion, as far as movie against movie. You gotta love the King of the Monsters, Godzilla. Man, he is a badass. And this movie is sick. I'm a Godzilla fan, and I do have a few others. Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, Godzilla and the Sea Monster, and Godzilla vs. Gigan up here. So, a little bit more additions to the Godzilla VHS collection. So, that's pretty cool. And that was a Toho film as well. They started a new series after that. It's like every time they make an American version, they start doing Japanese versions again, just like they did with the Legendary Pictures American version. Was followed up by Shin Godzilla, or Godzilla Resurrection, whatever you want to, or Resurgence, or whatever it was supposed to be called. Here are some James Bond collection updates that I made in my VHS collection. I have finally completed the last 3 VHS that I needed for my James Bond VHS collection, which is right up here, and I didn't want to take them all out. But I have all the Sean Connery efforts on VHS now, as you can see, from Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, Diamonds Are Forever, and they are all the same James Bond collection versions as well. They all look the same. But this one here, Our Majesty's Secret Service, it starred not Sean Connery, but it starred George Lazenby as 007 James Bond. So it's the only effort that Lazenby made, and he turned down a huge offer to come back as Bond, which Connery, reprised his role in after Lazenby turned it down. But he could have made a fortune being James Bond. They offered him a huge contract. It was millions. I can't remember the exact number. But I do have a James Bond collection video up here to the right. I did 2 parts to it. So I will put part 1 up here and go back and check both of them out. It's very cool. I will try to put 2 of them up there if I have enough cards left. But here is James Bond, the 007 collection, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which was a very good effort, and Lazenby did a great job, and he would have made a very good James Bond for the rest of the series. And then I added the only other two that I needed, which was You Only Live Twice, and that's the Sean Connery effort that I did not have with the other four here. He did 8, I think he did 7 altogether. And then Dr. No, which was the first one that he ever portrayed, 007. It was the first Bond movie ever made. And this was the one that I was lacking too with the other Sean Connery one, as I have these 4. And then Dr. No and You Only Live Twice Now. So that's 6. And then the 7th was the non-canon one that they made when he came back later and reprised his role, Never Say Never Again, which actually was a hell of a movie in my opinion. I really liked it, but he was older, but still did a great job in my opinion. So I have the complete Sean Connery VHS 007 collection plus the Lazenby one that I wanted, and I do have all of them on DVD. And you know, if you go back to that video, I show them all off and go through everything and kind of like give some facts on Connery and the other Bonds and whatever. But yeah, guys, that will do it on my VHS collection. There was one last one that I did want to show that I picked up from that shop that I had gotten the original Star Wars box set, and that was none other than Wizard of Oz on VHS. And you know, I'm a huge fan of this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I could not pass up a VHS version of the Wizard of Oz, the 1939 classic. And I'm looking here, and this was made in 1991, this VHS. It looked rather old, so I was only 9 years old when this VHS came out from MGM, Universal. So, yeah, guys, really happy to add it to my collection. I love the cover art of this, too, with the Tin Man, everybody down there, Scarecrow, Lion, and Dorothy herself. Judy Garland. So yeah, one of my favorite films of all time. I already have it on DVD, but had to have the VHS when I saw it for $1. So yeah, guys, it was a heck of a haul here that I picked up from the flea market and the other store. I want to thank everybody for watching. Make sure you go back and check out all my videos. I have many more DVD, VHS collections to come, Blu-ray updates, collection updates to come. And yeah, stay tuned for a lot more, guys. If this is your first time watching, make sure you hit the subscribe, give me a like, drop a comment down below. The feedback is much appreciated, and for repeat viewers, I really appreciate it. And yeah, guys, till next time, as always, thanks for watching, and peace out.